This is day 2 from using the self tanner in the Demi Method process that I share a lot here. That meaning I use this little tanner pen. It's a little watercolor pen that has self tanner in it, and I only applied it in areas of light areas. And I shared a before and after yesterday. I didn't share the process of yesterday, but it's the same as it has always been. I did record it, but I haven't yet edited it. So I wanted to share with you a day 2, just doing normal skincare with this process, because the skincare that I use has active ingredients, and then it has a lot of exfoliation, which is good skincare is constantly daily exfoliation, gently and even chemically. You're going to lose some of that color. That's just physics and the way it is. But I do love the longevity of it. And I get a lot of the loss of the tanner here around the eyes in those areas. And I take about 5 minutes and I touch it up, because that's going to be normal around underneath your eyes and around the nose. Especially being mature from sun and years of sun, you can get a lot of scar tissue from sun damage, and sometimes it lifts quickly, especially if you're doing good skincare. But the payoff, why would I do that? Why would I go the trouble of doing it? Is because the payoff is there's zero makeup texture, and I really love that. Anytime you can put a tint to the skin and figure out the color balance with it, it's great. Now, if you like wearing foundation, this is also a great way to take the troubled areas with a lot of texture, like underneath the eyes, around the nose, and then everywhere else, you balance it and tone a little bit with your favorite foundation. I would just go a little warmer. Don't go paler, go a little warmer. Pay attention to the neck area to make sure you're not creating a mask of any sort. I'm never really, when you're doing this, adding color to light areas, you're not adding color to the light areas to the same intensity to the dark. So I have a little redness right here, and I wouldn't want to add color to the same level, the same volume is the analogy I like to use, to that area. Just want to take a little bit of volume and add it to that, and then you can take a little bit of a volume away from the excess. So everybody's skin, everybody's face is going to be different. Mine's not the same as yours, and it changes daily due to skincare and that kind of thing. And sometimes you get I got a little red right here that is from there's a couple little things that have been under the skin for a very, very long time, and from the Korean skincare that I've been using and the tretinoin, finally, little tiny came to the surface, and that's just what is, it's just got a little pink there. So I'll take it. So your skin's gonna change, is what I was trying to say, daily. So what you do today may be different tomorrow, but the concept is always the same. Adding color to the light areas just enough that it reduces some of the contrast. That's all you're doing. No matter the medium that you use, whether it be a tanner or it be contours or it be an eyeshadow, whatever you're going to use, whatever medium, the concept is the same. And there's always a couple of things you can do to improve it. Number one, using smaller brushes for more delicate areas that are in the smaller areas. And number 2, use very saturated color. All right. And don't I guess number 3, don't hyper focus on things that most people are not paying attention to. So ask any questions. All I'm going to do is do a quick little 5-minute touch up, what I would do second day when I use the tanner. And then I'm going to do a simple little decorating. That's it. That's all I'm going to do for my makeup today. And I wanted to do it here with you guys. Please ask any questions that you have. Now, I like to wear a glove when I'm using this tanner pen because it's not perfect. It does leak when it sits because of it's not the problem with the pen, it's because the pen is not designed for the product. So there's 2 different types of ingredients in a self-tanner. I forget what it's called, but it has an acronym, something with a D. Now I can't remember it, and I'm not going to try to remember it. But it's what develops. It reacts to dead cells on your skin and makes them turn a color. So it gives it pigment. It's not dropping in pigment. It's changing the color of the dead cells. I know that sounds gross, but that's how self-tanners work. And then there's a bronzer colorant in it that washes away. So this is not got a type of seal with it that holds that low viscosity liquid in it very well, but it works for me. And I like how it has a very nice brush to work with, and you can deliver it. You just understand it can get a little messy. If you don't want to wear a latex glove, because when I'm holding it like this, it might leak or whatever. They do make a self-tanner remover, and it's in the same aisle on the same shelf with self-tanners. So that's just so it's not a perfect little design, but I really like it. But like I said, you can use this with contours. You see me do this all the time. And so I like to show you different mediums. And when I find more and I have more, I'll share other products that do the same thing when they work really well. All right, I like to touch up underneath my eyes just a little bit with the self-tanner because, like I said a minute ago, this is an area where the skin lifts. The tanner is, difficult to take for a couple of days in a row. But what I really love, I did a video just a minute ago just to record what it looks like and compare it to yesterday's before. So you can see there is still a major difference. I really like it when I wake up and it looks as if I have a little bit of tone to my skin without makeup on. That's the beauty of it. Now, if I take self-tanner, and I know you've seen this process before, and they put it everywhere to contour, that works great if you're in your 20s or you have a skin tone that has 0 hyperpigmentation in it or mature or texture. It works not mature and you have no texture because it is going to attach itself to dead cells and dryness. It's going to stick to that. So if I did that, every area that has just the slightest bit of color to it is going to be amplified. And now I'm back to square one. I'm back to where I was before with this high contrast showing where distractions are amplified because of the low volume of color in other areas. I just made everything darker. So I wouldn't recommend doing that. But adding a little color to give a little bit of balance to high contrast areas is really helpful. And I feel like I'm repeating that over and over again. But it's magical, and I love the concept. And I do not take credit for this concept at all. The founder of Saint Cara is the designer, the creator, the brainchild behind this concept where I learned how to do this. And I will not take credit for that at all. I do love teaching it because I fell in love with that concept and I loved how it looked on my skin. I've seen it on other ladies. I did it on a lady yesterday, just using maybe 4 colors, and she's on the mature side and it looks fantastic. We forgot to take a before picture, but I think I screenshotted a part of the video that I can get a before and after pretty good. So I do not take credit for this, but I do love sharing it. So I do know that. So I have a little bit in my pen. I've cranked, you turn the knob and get it down into the bristles. And I like to wipe it off on a paper towel. And this color that I'm using, you can see that it's a red-brown. okay? And I really like having a little bit of red in my skin. There's different flavors, and really and truly, there's probably 2 or 3 you could actually use. It's just according to what do you want it to look like. All right, now I'm going to show you just underneath the eyes. I just want to do a little bit. I don't know what that is. Let me get that out of the way. And it's over here too. Hang on. Hang on. Gotta get that. Bugs me. Oh, that's a eyelash. Got it. See this little light spot? And see how you can see the tanner? I don't want that, so I just tap it away. Just a little. Now keep in mind, this colorant that is in Self Tanner helps you see where you're placing it, and that can be washed away. But the developer, see that little area right there? Its skin is kind of difficult to take color, but you can see how that automatically gives me some smoothness underneath my eyes. See this right here? That little spot there. I do, again, see that little red area right there? This used to be, just in context, I went and grabbed up a bunch of videos from 4 or 5, not videos, pictures from 4 to 5 years ago to remind myself how far this area of my face has come with hyperpigmentation and sun damage. And that little spot you see right there is what's left of a big giant spot, because your skin kind of exfoliates like an elevator. So 25 years ago, out there laying in the sun, created this sun damage, and it was way deep, okay? What looked like a nice little tan, eventually it works its way, that damage is working its way like an elevator to the top, and it gets darker and darker and more pronounced, especially when we age. We get lighter around our eyes, and this is the last little bit, the last floor has made its way to the surface, and I'm excited about that. So it just encourages me to keep on keeping on. But do you see that little red spot? It's definitely got a high volume of color. I love, it's a great way I can explain levels of color. So I do not want to match that same level with this. I just want to reduce it a little. So all it needs is a little bit of color. And do you see this is less intense? Now, will I need to subtract a little bit of that, turn down the volume on that? Yes, but it's so much easier and less frustrating to see when everything else around it is more in balance. So this little area around my eyes, see how that's a bigger white spot area? So I was a little more free with adding the color. Okay, that's all I'm going to do. I'm going to do a little bit right here on my nose, and then I'm going to do this eye. And that's about all I touch up on the second day. And then I do a little bit of color, cheek color. You know, I'm going to work on just using some oranges today. I'm just going to do a look with just oranges and adding some warmth. This is a little bit of, it's like white area, and what it is, as we age, we lose a little bit of nice healthy blood flow to our nose, so it ends up getting pretty white, and then we end up with some scar tissue because we get a lot of sun there. So that scar tissue can be pretty, you know, difficult with a tanner. Now, if we had a medium that was like a tint, where you can do an eyeshadow, if you can do a creamy eyeshadow, or the contours that I've done there, it tends to work a little better than a tanner, because the concept of the tanner is it's working on dead skin cells. dead skin cells. Sorry, I feel like I'm not fully functioning this morning. So I want to be very mindful of broken capillaries there and not go over top of them. Okay. Now, this little eye is so much trickier. This eye, to me, and I'm sure we all feel the same way, is more textured underneath there, more wrinkly. So I want to be very mindful of that. And so look at your eyes and get some different animations. And do you see how that is a lot more lighter in there, and there's a little darker there and a little lighter? Okay, so I want to use minimal, and I got too much. When the pen does that, just touch it on a. I've done this different ways. I've dipped a paintbrush or a makeup brush into a tanner cup of pumped out some of the self tanner in a cup, and that works pretty good, but it ends up dropping in too much. And when I found this, I really loved it. So okay. Do you see that's a lot softer? It's not as intense. And I have two little areas right there healing. That is, like I said, from skincare and everything, a couple of things that have been underneath the skin for so long that I didn't realize that were there came to the surface, and just that's what's left. And having mature skin, sometimes the red tends to linger. It's kind of a shame because I have red in some areas I don't want it because I like having a little bit of pink in my skin because I'm missing it. Do you see how that's a lot softer? And I'm being very mindful of just staying away from very textured, but areas that are a little light. Try different animations, smile, see the wrinkles, and then unsmile, or relax, I should say. Just making up words this morning, it is what it is. Okay, that's a lot softer, and I really love it. Do you see how this is a little bit of a bigger area, so I can be a little more bigger strokes with it. See that little spot right there? See, this is like gone, but the pink just sticks around for a while. I don't want to make what's next to it. You know, I don't see that shows because this little light area, but I just want a little color. I don't want to bring it up to the same level of depth of that dark spot. And do you see how that's a lot softer, just less intense, less amplified? And this is like, if I went talking, this is just like not 5 minutes to do. Add a little more on my eyes. There. And you can also add to your lips if you want. I still have some from yesterday still there. Although there's a couple of spots that I noticed on my video that I missed. But, you know, I could have redone it, but I didn't. It's just, didn't have the time. There we go. Now, I'm done with that part. So that typically on the next day, on the second day, takes me about 5 minutes, and it's always underneath my eyes. And you see how that is very balanced now. I have a little red area right there, but it was there before. I actually have a couple of others. My skin has, your skin will go through stages, especially with skincare, that when things are lifting and healing and that kind of thing, I have found, I don't know if it's right or not, but I have found when I have some hyperpigmentation that was very, very dark and brown, and as it's lifted and going away due to skincare, the last little bit that it hangs on to is pink. And I don't know, I even treat my hands, and I have a couple of these are pink. They're not even brown, and they used to be a very dark brown spot. Do you see this? And that's just what's left behind. That's healing, I guess. We hope that it goes away. All right, now what I'm going to do next is do a little bit of warmth. You know what? Let's go ahead and do my brows. Let's do brows. And I was using, there's the brow gel. Really loving this one. Have you tried it yet? I really love this one. This is a good one. I've got a few more minutes. So brush it through. I've been in my head a lot lately, and nothing with makeup or Saint, none of that. Saint is amazing. It's none of it, the thing with Saint is not stressful at all. I enjoy this. This is my getaway. And sharing with you guys, it's my getaway. Just everything in life, everything. It's just, I don't know, it's due to retirement, different scheduling, I don't know. I'm loving it. Enjoy getting to be with Mike also. I'm sure he'll watch this later. Enjoying to get to be with Mike a lot, that kind of thing. It is enjoyable. Let's see what I want to do. You can tell I live in the country. You'll hear a lot of big trucks with exhaust. I think this is what I want to try to do. I want to use marigold. All right, I want to use some yellows and oranges today, and some peaches. That's what I want to use. So I'm going to take this marigold and just a little bit and do it like in areas up here at my forehead for a little bit of warmth. So this is a yellow orange, you know, it's supposed to be like NO, a neutral orange. Well, it is orange, but it has yellow in it because it's a neutral. So it's got other primary colors with it to make orange, right? You know, what makes orange is red and yellow. So this has some yellow in it, and it's going to do a lot of neutralizing lilac, violet colors. So purple, we always think purple is on the high level of purple, but there is a low level. And when we mature, especially if you're in the medium to fair range, you will find the skin has a violet tint to it as we age and gets kind of translucent and icy looking. This is a great color to warm that up. If you don't have a lot of pigmentation areas and that kind of thing, this is just a great color just to warm up the skin. But the key is this, don't put it on thick. We're using just the ends of the bristles. It takes so little product. You don't need a whole lot. Top of the lip, you know, that gets kind of violet as we age, get kind of bluish. This is going to warm that up. Look at that. Put it on the nose. I'm loving that. Okay, this is called Marigold. Good color to play with. I love all the new contour colors. This is originally the NO and a Demi color, bigger tin, exact same consistency. This is Velvet, which was NV +1, and this is Autumn, which is NR. These were great colors, and I think you could play with all three in different ways. I'm actually even going to use, I'm going to grab the bright brush and let's do a little bit of this marigold. Just right in there, just a little. I got a little, pressed in a little too much. I got too much of the color there. Oh my gosh. Let's say you have a lot of violet veins and purplish on the eyelids and you want to neutralize it. Take some of this stuff and just put it right, dance it right across. Just right in there. Okay, I like that. Now I've got Tangerine Dream. Please grab you one of these. You can play with this orange. It's one of my favorite colors and I'm really hoping it does well and a lot of ladies like it. That way they keep it around. I'm going to use the shape brush and I want to use this as a warming up of my cheek. Just a little bit of color. Because I'm not wearing any foundation, this will create a filtered color, little droplets of color over skin that is, so let's say you have a lot of redness or a lot of hyperpigmentation. This is going to warm all of that up and take those dark tones and warm them up to a nice pretty little bronze color. And this is Tangerine Dream. And you want a pretty nude color. Or if let's say you have very bluish lips, that really happens as we age. They get kind of blue, they get kind of thin because they lose volume. And if you're fair skin, your lips tend to get very bluish. A little bit of this orange tapped on. Notice I'm not putting it on like lipstick. I don't want the product all over. I just want droplets of that color, and you can see it creates a filter over the lips and tones down a lot of the bluish, purplish. Love it. And then what do I want to do? Oh, let's do brows. Looking at my time. 5 minutes. I'm on the schedule today. Okay, I'm going to use the edge brush. I believe it's called the edge brush. And I'm going to use Velvet. And I just kind of lay it down there and touch and touch. And do a little bit of filling in and shaping. Here, my dryer. Just a little. This Velvet is a really good ashy tone for brows. Okay. Now, I do like a little pink in my skin, just a little. And I'm going to use the small end of the wash brush. And this one is called, it's more of a coral. This is one of the new colors. I believe this is Strawberry Shortcake. Yes, just a hint. And I'm coming up high up in here. I already have the Tangerine Dream, but I want a little pink up in here. And bring it close up there to the eye. This is a really good color. I don't know, I just really need a little bit of pink, but I love it with that Tangerine Dream. Take a little bit of here. Oh, I love to sweep some of it up there in the eyes. And because I have that balance from the tanner, oh, look alive. Yes. All right, now I'm going to take my famous little brush. I need to order me a new one. This one still sticking around. Still a good little brush here. And small brush, and we're gonna work on a couple of those distractions and just filter them away. I'm gonna start with, I think I'm just gonna start with the 01 and just subtract it. I have these 4, and I would recommend all of these 4 for most skin tones. If you're on the richer skin tones, drop in another one that's called OY1. And from all of these, you can make other colors. I could take 01 and red 1 and make a red orange. I could take a little bit of this red one with 03 and make a deeper with, you know, a little bit of red with this orange. Just, you can do a lot with these things. And there's another one that's the orangey yellow for richer skin tones. You need that one too. All right, so just take a little, and I already did that twice. So I probably have too much on there. All right, and I just want to subtract some of the excess of that spot. And do you see how quick that happens? And let's say you get too much, just tap. Don't put in a bunch of product and then take a brush and blend it, because you're back to square one. Just be really quick with it and only take care of the darker ones. See that little red patch? It's just a couple little dark places. Let's say you can't find the dark places within that patch, then just dot it over it and then give it a little tap. That will help you filter it. We're creating a color filter, that peachy tone. And a peachy tone, this orange one, is going to subtract excess. And you see it took away the excess of depth, okay? But it didn't get rid of all of that because it's more on the red side, which truly is not red, it's violet. So I need a little bit of yellow with it. So I'm just dotting a little bit of yellow, and do you see that will cancel out the rest of that. Touch and go, don't spend too much time in one little spot, because when you touch your skin, it's going to bring oxygen to the skin, and it's going to change the color of it while you're touching it, and you're going to become frustrated. So do you see this lovely blue vein? I'm going to need, I don't want to subtract all the color because there's plenty of color there. I just want to take away a little bit, neutralize a little bit. So I take the 03. Okay, a minute past due. And there, what it is a nice blue vein there. And all I did is take away some of the darkest spots in there. The vein's never going to be traveling in a straight line. It's going to be like this. So you never just want to put a line. Okay, I'm going to go back to the 01 just to subtract some of this excess color. Okay, I feel like the vein is still kind of hanging around a little. I'm going to do a little bit of red with that because it may have a hint of green in a couple of areas. It's a big area. Now I'm not going to touch it anymore. I'm going to let it calm down for just a second and come over here, and let's take care of these two little red spots that are still healing. Turn your brush at different angles if it seems to be a little troublesome to find it. Okay, sunspots. If it's very, very dark, it has a lot of capillaries and stuff in it, go to Y01. and then you may have to drop in according to what's around it. If it's in a very fair area and you want to bring down the volume, go to the 01. It's going to subtract the most. If it's in an area like I did here with the cheek and I don't want to take away all the color, I want a little color left behind, I just go to the 03. But I always resort to anything super dark, Y01. I know it seems strange because it is a brown spot, but if it's a dark, it's got a lot of blood in the area, so it's going to have a deep purple brown to it. If it's a dull, muddy area, like let's say a dull, muddy area, typically right in here, and it's just, that's got a lot of, it's kind of spaced out, or it's a super light, that's always going to be more on the green side, and that's when you use red one. So I take a, typically right in here. Do you see this? It's just not very dark, and it may not even show up on camera, but it's just the slightest bit, okay, right here on the side of my nose, you see it? It's just the slightest bit of muddiness to it. So I'm taking a little red one, just a little, because the red is going to remove, yeah, try that. Red is going to remove, especially this red one, and subtract it all the way down. It's going to remove every evidence of pigment in that area, and you don't really want to remove all of it. So this is a color you can see probably used less in my palette because of it. I know it's going to, I want to use it the last because it's going to remove everything. So I'll wait to the very end and to see if there's anything I need to, that just has that little bit of muddiness. Top of the lip is a common place, right in here, right where the bone is at, right in here. See, there's a couple, it doesn't really bother me, but sometimes if you want a little touch of brightness, right in this little area at the orbital bone, you can get a slight bit of muddiness. See the difference there? And that's just from sun damage, where the sun comes down and hits at this point. So try that out. So see this one, this was a red pink area, and notice how big it is. So it may take a couple of colors. So a lot of the ladies that, I don't know where the darkest point is at, because you've heard me say that before, don't get hung up on that. Just, I'm using a little Y01 because truly, I do not, it's not really red, it's violet. For it to be red, it has to be so fire engine red that that's when you use a green. And keep in mind, when you use a green, just like you use the red to remove a muddy brown, and it's going to remove all the color all the way down. If you use a green for anything that, you know, looks red, it's going to subtract all the color away. You just want to take out the violet tones in that red. So it doesn't have a lot of color to it. You just want to subtract the most. The way, okay, so talking about color here, I don't want to discourage anyone say, I don't understand that color science. It's just too much for me. I do hear that. I try to steer away from talking about the color science. And the reason why is because you really do not need to understand how the colors work. You really, really don't. At the very beginning, when I was learning, I first thought, okay, because I am a nerd in that sense. I love science. I was a science teacher for 30 years. I love all of that stuff, and it intrigues me, but most people don't. They, they don't get into that, and that's fine. So I don't want to steer anyone away from experimenting and playing with it, that you have to understand. You have to understand this in order to wear it, and that's not the case at all. So what I try to do is, if you only got a few of these colors and started playing with them, you will see with your own eyes what works and what doesn't. And it has nothing to do with the product. It's just all about color. You will quickly learn, oh, every time I use this on this, it looks that way. That's how I learned it. So why would I use Y01 on a red spot? Because the opposite of yellow is purple, and that looks red. Why would I not just use green? Well, the concept of why is this red, and typically right in here, in our chin area, the blood vessels are really close to the skin. So if you have something red on your skin showing through, it's because of blood. Well, blood typically is on the red side, right? But it shows up, and it's dark, and you can see it from the distance. Like that red spot that was there, you could see that from a distance. So that means anything that you can see from afar that has color to it, that means it has some depth to it. So that means it has some blue in it. And what does red and blue make? It makes purple. So that's the reason why I always resort to a yellow color when you want to subtract anything that has that reddish tone to it, because most likely it's violet and not red at all. Okay? Did I go too far there? With the science part of it. I just don't want that. I don't want to steer anyone say I didn't understand any of that. And if you didn't, don't worry. I tried to put it in simple terms. I'm going to go to this peachy color to take away depth. I went to the 01 only because I find when I use the 01, it subtracts it all the way down. If I just want to subtract a little bit of it, I use the 03. So see this lovely little vein? Well, this vein creates a shadow because it's raised, and I'm going under it in a couple of dots, not in a line. This is a sunspot right on top of that vein, and you see how it helps flatten a little bit. I do have self tanner on the other side of it to add depth to the high point of it, to give it a little depth of color. So I subtracted a little bit of that contrast, and then I subtracted a little more of the contrast right underneath here. It's not going to get the vein to go away, but at least working with the color that it presents helps reduce the color effects that it's given. And I think I'm done. Oh yeah, and there's a vein right here. Do you see this one? This one bugs me. I love having all these veins. I mean, they're everywhere. So I'm going to take a little 01, just a tiny dot. I do not want to create a line like this because, like I said, a vein is not going to travel in a line. I'm just going to dot. Okay. And there's a little spot there and a little spot there. And some of these spots you become friends with, they're always hanging around. And you already know where they are at, so you just touch and go. Just touch and go. All right, there. I think I'm done. I'm going to add mascara. And I'm done. I actually am going to put on a little bit of feather blotting dust. And I like to apply it right in here. And the reason why is when my hair comes next to my face, I don't want it to pull or lift any of the product. Even though I use very, very little product, and that's the key, making makeup last long, is using very saturated color, very minimally, less product on the skin, less to move, and you can use less when you use very rich colors. But when my hair touches my face, I don't want it to remove in any of the product. Now let's take a little bit, and I didn't do anything onto the eyes except for the marigold, which I love. Now I've been using the silk from Saint. I love it. I really love it. I think it's great for mature eyes because if you have itty bitty lashes or struggling lashes, this little side here can get down to the root. Just get down on it right there. and build you a little base there at the root, and then flip it over to the big end. Never used a brush like this. I'm sure they exist somewhere, and I just am late to the game, but I'm glad Saint has it. I love the formula. It's gentle on the lashes. My lashes do not become sore from like the harshness. Some mascaras like freeze your lashes in place, and this is still soft and gentle. And what I love, warm water, just a little bit of warm water, and it just comes right off. I love it. I'll give a little, turn it back over to this and give it a little shimmy shake. Yes, all day long. This is turned out to be, I mean, I've used all three of the mascaras and I love them. Well, here comes the clouds. We've got some bad weather coming our way this evening, so it's already starting to set in. The sun was out a second ago. So I'm using the little short end, wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. You know, I just feel like all the editing and recording of content, it does get exhausting just as constantly. It's just easier to go live. just go live. You know what? If you don't have the attention span more than 5 seconds, maybe you shouldn't try to learn anything on social media. Sometimes things take more than 5 seconds to show. I get tired of really and truly the algorithms making me feel like, okay, I've got to come up with something that's just going to really wow someone. And all the people that teach about social media gurus, and you know, it's just like, I don't want to play the game. I just wanted to get on here and share. And so maybe Instagram is not the place. I really love YouTube a lot. I really love sharing it. You know, it likes longer content. There's better you know, I don't know. It's searchable. I don't know. There's one thing for sure. I don't try to follow any of that. I could, but I'm here for the people, my followers, that hang around for some reason. Some reason. Oh, Lordy. Okay. This side of, I don't know if y'all experienced that. I don't typically want to put a lot on my bottom lashes. I'm just coloring them at the root. Because they're blonde. This side of my face, I also find that the lashes right here on the corner, you know, tend to curl this way, and I'm having to straighten back up, which I probably could have used this. I have a bad habit of forgetting that we have these. I just never used it. I've never had it in my routine, and so I never think about it, and I was going to always try to do it. All right, I'm all done. I really love the self-tanner concept, that the medium, that it's liquid and it goes right into the skin, and you see zero makeup texture. I do see that little blue vein? Isn't that lovely? Let's take care of that. I don't want to take away too much of the color, so I'm just going to use, and you can see it's very dark. That's the reason I went to 03. And I got too much product. Just tap it very gently. Wowzer. But that's what I love about it, that you can see I still have variations of color. I'm not one shade like foundation will give you. You can see there is a whole mosaic of color, But what you do notice, and I will share the before and after again, it is even. Like there's nothing standing out that throws it out of balance. So whatever, you know, color that you see is in balance with everything else. That is what I love about this concept. There you go. I almost couldn't zoom back out. That's what I love about it. And that's what we want from makeup. In my view, and from talking to ladies, it's what I've learned. What they want from makeup is just for their skin to look their best. And sometimes we have to sacrifice a lot of makeup texture to just try to look more even skin tone. And with this concept, you don't have to. You can have even skin tone and just look as if you're not wearing makeup without the makeup texture. All right, guys, I went way over than what I need to do. I should already be gone, but it was fun hanging out with you guys. If you have any questions, please ask. You can go to outthegobble.com and get any of these colors. If you are interested in the pen, I have an Amazon link I can send you for that as well. All right, guys, have a wonderful day.